Okay, great. All right, so it looks like we're live. I'm Dr. Paul Fernhaber. Thank you everybody for coming, standing room only. So tonight, we're going to be talking about herbal therapy, understanding some of the rationale behind that. So I'm just going to ask ahead of time, do you take herbs?
If you count supplements as herbs.
Well, there's vitamin supplements and then there's herbs.
Probably not.
Okay, so you don't take herbs. Okay, all right. So maybe after tonight, you're going to want to take them. You're going to at least understand why people take them and why I would prescribe them in my office. Because I use herbal therapy a lot. And my goal in practice, as I know as Dr. Lynn's, is to make this community a healthier place with more health, less drugs. So, Erin?
Hi, coming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You want to get to the first slide?
There.
Okay, so here's some basic principles in understanding herbs versus vitamins. The body requires nutrients to function. We know that. If you don't have the right nutritional makeup, your body can't work. Vitamins, minerals, fiber, and other nutrients found in proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Now, herbal extracts are highly complex, intelligent mixtures of plant metabolites. So therapeutic responses are heightened if nutrients are available for complete tissue healing. So here's the point, the main point of this slide. Vitamins nourish, herbs tend to increase function. Okay, so like for example, when you get a chiropractic adjustment, that increases function. Okay, chiropractic adjustments don't have any nourishing ability, but they have the ability to increase function. So do herbs. Herbs increase function. Okay, next slide. Okay, so let's go back to the person who really developed all of this and sort of developed it from scratch, really, is Samuel Thompson. And he lived in the 17 and 1800s. He was a self-taught American herbalist. He was known as the founder of the alternative system of medicine known as Thompsonian medicine. So he was like probably the first herbalist in the United States. Okay. His basic premise is that optimal health arises from obeying natural laws. Well, that's what we know in chiropractic. We obey the laws of understanding biomechanics in the nervous system. He says disease states are due to lack or due to an obstruction or lack of vital energy or the inability of the body to heal itself. The symptoms people get are due to the effect of the disease, not the disease. So the fact of the issue is that we need to treat the actual disease rather than treating the symptoms of disease, and he recognized that. So the only options for cure, he found, were removing obstructions and restoring energy to the body. So it sounds a lot like a chiropractic adjustment, you know? Healing can only occur when using substances which are in harmony with natural laws that improve vital energy. Okay. So, what are the signs of a cure? Signs that somebody's gotten better. Relaxation, okay? Contraction is something that's flaccid. Stimulation, soothing, nourishing, neutralization. So, what would neutralization, what would an example of that be? Anybody? How about neutralizing an infection?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be an example of that. Have you ever felt really relaxed after an adjustment?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have, yeah, many times. So that's an example of how that works. Next slide. So modern day functional medicine, which I'm a practitioner of, seeks to look at the underlying cause of disease. We use a systems-oriented approach, is more patient-centered rather than disease-centered. So what would that mean? We're patient-centered. more than disease centered. Anybody?
So you're looking at the whole of a person rather than focusing on that one thing?
Yeah. So a person that comes in is actually a human being. You know, not just a subluxation or a high blood pressure, you know, or something like that. They're actually a person, and every individual is different, and you can have 5 different people with the same set of symptoms and have 5 different solutions to fix the problem because everybody's so different. Like, for example, if you look at medicine, for example, when they look at high blood pressure, everybody gets a high blood pressure drug. They look at diabetes, everybody gets some sort of glucose lowering drug. They're not looking at things like what's the lifestyle, how much are they exercising, what are they eating? You know, that stuff like that's really, really important. Includes a comprehensive history, really important. Evaluates genetic, environmental, and lifestyle factors. Okay. So, functional herbal therapy. It combines Thomsonian wisdom with functional medicine. Again, we look at all the same things. We don't look at the disease, but rather the symptoms to help us decide or help us locate or understand what the disease actually is. So, herbal therapy is a multifaceted addressing more than one system at a time. So what that means is that you can have an herb that has many different actions, that can cause many different things to happen in the body. Well, that's really useful if, you know, it's better to give one thing that may treat 3 different parts of the body than 3 different things. So herbs can have a variety of effects in the body. And we use a combination of 12 core strategic targets. Okay, next slide. So here's what we look for. Number 1 is we want to support the endocrine system. Okay? We want to eliminate stealth pathogens. Anybody know what a stealth pathogen is?
No.
Okay, I have a whole talk on stealth pathogens. Okay, stealth pathogens are disease or infective entities that get into the body and they hide from the immune system. So they're constantly causing problems in the body, and they can create a lot of symptoms, but you have to kill the stealth pathogen. So an example of that would be SIBO. You know, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, usually a stealth pathogen causing that. You have to kill that. You have to figure out what it is. There's lots of processes, symptoms in the body that can be caused by stealth pathogens. And anybody know how you might pick up a stealth pathogen? Any idea?
Something you eat?
Could be, yeah. You go to Mexico or a foreign country, you eat a food, you get Montezuma's revenge, and you never quite get over it. You've just picked up a stealth pathogen. And that can be healed. That can, and that's part of a good case history, is knowing when to look for that. You want to lower danger signals, okay? We'll talk about that in a minute. Detoxify and prime NRF2 responses. That means lower inflammation, okay? That's just another way. That's like number 4 and number 10 are very similar. Improve sleep. Boost circulatory health. Eliminate dysbiosis. So what's dysbiosis? You don't know what it is?
I don't think so.
Do you know what it is? Okay, it's an imbalance in your gut bacteria. And your gut bacteria determines a lot of your health. So what would cause dysbiosis? Anybody?
Again, the foods you eat.
Food you eat? Yes, could. That can contribute substantially. What would actually pretty much cause it, though? Stress would contribute to it. How about antibiotics? Pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals are the #1 cause of dysbiosis in our culture. Okay? Optimize digestion, optimize immune function, resolve, eliminate inflammation, improve natural barriers. What would be a barrier that could be compromised that could really affect our health? Anybody? Anybody hear the blood-brain barrier?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How about the barrier, the intestines and the bloodstream? Okay, if that digestive barrier is compromised, that's going to create a whole host of problems, including autoimmune problems, possible brain issues, and we want to address metabolic imbalances. Can you give me an example of a metabolic imbalance?
I was thinking of being overweight or something.
Yeah, that'd be one, definitely. How about high blood sugar?
Oh yeah.
That's definitely a metabolic imbalance, okay? So, next slide. Okay, so let's look at danger signals. Danger signals are metabolic responses that protect cells from harm. So they can involve chemical, physical, biological, microbial threats. They're initiated by mitochondria, which are the parts of the cell which produce energy to try and protect and survive. So can anybody give me a danger signal in the body that could be initiated in the body?
Like a fever.
Yeah, fever. Great answer. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah, fever. Okay. Fever's a danger signal. Okay. Next slide. So the first line of defense. So when danger is encountered, there's a series of protective responses. The cell tries to regulate homeostasis. There's these proteins in the body called heat shock proteins that protect the cells. They're called sirtuins. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but I just want you to understand that these heat shock proteins are very, very important. Now, what would cause the body not to be able to make these sirtuins or heat shock proteins which protect the body and protect cellular stress response? What would cause that to not happen in the body? For your body not to be able to make those proteins?
If it's just overwhelmed with all the negative things in your body, like illnesses or whatever, I think it puts a strain on it.
Okay, so too much, we'll call pathogenesis, or too many things going on at once. Okay, that's a possibility. Okay, does anybody here know what proteins are made out of? Okay, made out of amino acids. There's 8 essential amino acids that your body cannot make. It has to get them from the food we eat. So if you are lacking in one of those amino acids, just one, your body cannot make those, and it cannot adapt to the responses. It cannot adapt to the problems that it's experiencing. So amino acids are not herbs, and I'm going to have a whole new talk next year on understanding protein that will shock people. But if you don't have the correct balance of amino acids, your body cannot make those shock proteins. And you know what that means? You can't get well. You cannot heal. Okay? So that's another another subject. Next slide. So here's some of the things that can cause multiple types of dysregulation: altered metabolism, disruption of gut microbiome, or the bacteria in the gut, impaired healing, changes in behavior, chronic disease. Herbs help to bridge this gap. They help to create the mismatch when your body's not working properly and you've got to do something about that. Herbs can really help with that. Next slide. Okay, so here's some key herbs that I use in my office all the time that really work well and they're really important. So number one is digest bitters. Now you can go to the liquor store and get bitters, okay? They have them there, okay? And they work. You put some in a glass of water before you eat, okay? They help with lack of appetite. And what bitters do in your GI tract is they help your GI system secrete the acid, the bile, the enzymes that your body needs to digest food. So let's say you're having problems with digestion, GERD, reflux. So this is one thing you could try. You can just try bitters, drink it down before a meal, and that might fix the problem because of the way it stimulates the body to produce the digestive enzymes that it needs. So it's good for eliminating gassiness, constipation, gallstones, gallbladder issues, a lot of things, okay? I use digest bitters in my office. I get it from a company called Gaia Herbs, but you can go to the liquor store and get it. Now, they may have some alcohol in those bitters, so you gotta be careful about that. But you can get them from you can get them. You don't even have to get them from me. Echinacea. Anybody in here heard of echinacea? Powerful immune stimulant, okay? Good for any infection, skin disorders such as psoriasis, acne, and eczema. Anytime your body's natural defenses are down, like if you had COVID several times or you get chemotherapy, echinacea is really good for the immune system. You can use it as a preventative. So you can use it long term, anti-aging, cancer preventative. Now I'm going to tell you a little secret about echinacea. How you can tell if you've got a good echinacea or if it's not good. Here's how you tell. You chew it. And if in 2 minutes your mouth gets kind of numb and tingly, you've got a good quality echinacea. If you chew it and you don't feel anything in the next 5 minutes, it's probably not very good, okay? The echinacea that I carry in my office, you chew it, I promise you in 2 minutes, you will know it's good, okay? You'll know it's a good echinacea. Okay, next slide. Ashwagandha, powerful herb. This is the one that helps. This is for people who are wired and tired. They're just struggling to have the energy to get through a day. Ashwagandha can be really, really helpful for that. Again, I use it a lot in my office. Gymnema, I use that one a lot. Very, very good for blood sugar issues. Really helps with insulin resistance, really helps bring down high insulin levels, high A1C levels. Ginkgo for brain and circulatory support. Promotes short-term memory, mental alertness, cognitive function, enhances circulation in the brain, the heart, the eyes, the ears, and the limbs. It can help with dementia, even sometimes early onset Alzheimer's disease. Now, if somebody's getting dementia and Alzheimer's, I would tend to look at some other things as well, because probably ginkgo is not going to be enough to stave that off. There's some other things you need to look at. I do an entire talk just on Alzheimer's. Sometimes it can help with tinnitus and vertigo and reduced retinal blood flow. Okay, next. So let's go back to that slide. So you see, so this is one herb, ginkgo, and you see it can help with all kinds of different things in the body. So if you have a retinal issue and you're taking it for brain support, it could help the retina as well, retinal flow. It might help with, if you got vertigo, along with short-term memory issues, it could help with that as well. So this is the beauty of herbs, is that you can have an herb that actually supports all kinds of different systems in the body all at the same time. Okay, next slide. Tribulus, another herb I really love. Boosts male and female fertility and libido. So what Tribulus does is it really helps modulate hormones in the body, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So it can be really good for hot flashes, really good for men that are in male andropause, where their testosterone is getting low and they're losing their sex drive. Very good for those things. I use Tribulus quite a bit in my office. Andrographis, another one, very good for acute infections. So if you've got, you could use this for COVID, for example. If you get COVID, you could use Andrographis. That would be, Andrographis and Echinacea would be a great combination. If you had the flu, if you have any kind of acute infection, Andrographis and Echinacea is a great combination. Okay, next slide. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the quality of herbs, because not all herbs are created equal. Okay, just like not all cars are equal, not all clothes are equal, not all houses are equal. Well, it's the same way with herbs. So there's a lot of things that go into what makes a high quality herb, and how can you tell if something is fake? Okay, go ahead, next slide. Okay, so this is the same thing. A cat, you have an example of 2 cats up there, they're very different. 2 dogs, 2 fish. So wormwood is a very, very powerful herb for getting rid of parasites. Sweet wormwood does not do what wormwood does, but yet in some herbal formulas for parasites, they'll put in sweet wormwood. They'll call it wormwood. It does not do the same thing. 2 different kinds of echinacea. One is very powerful, one isn't. Same with tribulus. Tribulus leaf versus tribulus fruit. Okay, next slide. So the herb and its power and its complexity and its ability to affect human function depends a lot on, number one, is where the plant grows in the world. So let's take tribulus, for example. The only place in the world where good tribulus grows is Eastern Europe, like Bulgaria, that area of the world. You cannot get good tribulus unless it comes from that area of the world. If you try and get it in Nebraska, not going to work, okay? So where it's grown is really important. How the plant is dried, what time of year it's harvested, all of those things matter. And so companies that want to produce a good herbal product pay a lot of attention to these things right here. There's 2 companies that I like for herbs the best. Number one is MetaHerb, who Standard Process. The other company is called Gaia. Both of them are very good companies. Next slide. Okay, so here's a type of phytochemicals in herbs. I won't go into all of these and talk about them, but these are some of the things in herbs, the chemicals, the chemistry of herbs that really need to be there for them to work. Okay, next slide. So again, key herbal quality issues, how they're processed, the kind of raw material, and the way they're tested. We have very sophisticated testing methods now that can really root out something that's fake or something that isn't real work. Like, 30 years ago, that wasn't the case. So in some products, you have substitution. Some you have adulteration with chemicals or other plants that you don't want in there. And then some are just plain contaminated. Okay, next slide. So here's an article from a journal called Frontiers of Pharmacology 2021. So this is a pretty recent article. And it talks about heavy metal contamination in herbal medicines, determination, comprehensive risk assessments, and solutions. this whole thing talks about how many herbs that are sourced in China are contaminated with heavy metals. Okay? So if somebody doesn't know that, and they just go to a store and they buy an herb and it's from China, and they think it's a Chinese herb, that's great. Chances are it's contaminated with heavy metals. People don't know that. Okay? Next slide. Here's another really important thing to understand. So the wrong part of a plant can be used, and it can be made cheaper, but it's not effective. So for example, ashwagandha, you have to use the root. Korean ginseng, you have to use the main root, okay, rather than the root hairs. Kava, you need to use a root that's peeled rather than the root peelings. So these things, there's a lot of companies, go ahead and next slide. There's a lot of companies that use the cheaper product because it's less expensive and you don't get the impact. So let's look at the top green. In the past, the people making false or fake products were all professionals. They had much deeper knowledge of the ingredients than the buyers. For example, they used synthetic resveratrol to make grapeseed extract, or use full synthetic garlic oil to stimulate a natural product. At that time, nobody knew how these ingredients were made, and their certificates of analysis could be the same as those of true products. Nowadays, with the knowledge of adulteration and the development of testing technologies, and we'll talk about HPTLC in a minute, all fake products can be detected. Now look at the last one. But there is still room for fake products because of the low price. There is a very large, well-known U.S. manufacturer that still buys fake products from China. And it's not even a secret among Chinese distributors. Almost everyone knows it. I've met several buyers who on one hand are looking for the best products, but on the other hand can't afford the price. Every time I've told them the cheaper ones may be fake because the price is unreasonable, but they still go for the cheaper option. So you get what you pay for, okay? And just in life in general, but you definitely with herbs, all right? Next slide. So high performance thin layer chromatography. This is the gold standard in identifying herbal products and the quality of herbal products. Next slide. Okay, so let's look at herbal adulteration. This is in the news. Milk thistle, which is really good herbal for liver toxicity and liver damage. It's called silymarin. So the silymarin content is actually removed from the standardized extracts or adulterated with raw materials. Let's look at turmeric. Adulteration with other curcuma species or undeclared mixture of starches, such as tapioca, dyes, which may contain lead, or undeclared synthetic curcumin. Turmeric is one of the biggest cons in the industry. So the fact is if you just go buy some turmeric and you thought you got a good price on it, it may not work. It may not even be real. Okay, you have to get it from a quality distributor that has a good reputation. Next slide. Here's some other ones. Korean ginseng. 1 in 4 ginseng containing herbal products sold globally is adulterated. So it's not even, the label does not reflect what's in there. American Botanical Council Botanical Adulterants Preventative Program has over 70 herbal peer-reviewed documents outlining the issues in testing for adulteration. There's rampant adulteration issues with ginkgo, okay? It's gone so far that it's difficult to obtain authentic ginkgo leaf extracts. So there's just a lot of fraud in the industry. Next slide. A lot of some of these herbs are contaminated, heavy metals, lead, arsenic, pesticide residues, solvent residues. Next slide. So here's an example of some tribulus products that were looked at. So the first product had more than double the active ingredients in the second one. And look at these last three. They hardly have any of the active ingredients in, and yet it's sold as tribulus. So again, you have to be careful. Next slide. Okay, we talked about Bulgaria or Slovakia as a place where you have to go get tribulus. Okay, go ahead, next slide. Echinacea. So we had 6 echinacea products that were looked at. First 2, pretty good. First one was the best. Look at the last 4. Hardly anything in it. So that's not going to work. And see, this is the problem. Is people buy this stuff, they take it and it doesn't work, and they go, herbs don't work. Well, that's just not true. They don't work if there's not, if the active ingredient is not in it. Okay, next slide. Okay. Okay, next slide. Okay, golden seal. Here's another example. Golden seal is listed as an endangered species in wild plant. There's over 30,000 different plant species that are listed to ensure, let's see. So you have to make sure that when you're getting herbs, you get golden seal from somebody who's actually cultivating it. Because if they're out harvesting it, they're basically decreasing the amount of golden seal that in the wild, because it takes 5 years for it to reach maturity. So golden seal is commonly substituted or adulterated by other species that contain berberine but don't contain any hydrostein, which is the active ingredients in golden seal. Next slide. So what's golden seal used for? Any mucous membrane. So like kids that are constantly producing green mucus, golden seal would be the thing to give them. Vaginal discharge. Chronic UTIs or interstitial cystitis, golden seal would work. Dry eyes, sinusitis, eliminating H. pylori infection. So any mucous membrane in the body that's not working right, golden seal is very, very good for it. And what I found with golden seal is that you don't need a huge amount of it to make an impact in the body. Next slide. So with MetaHerb, you can be guaranteed powerful quality herbs. This is the primary company I use. I use some Gaia, which I like. I use Gaia's bitters, they're really good. But these are the products I use. And some of these products are really pricey, like this golden seal, 40 tablets, I think it's about like $65. That's pretty high. It's high, but it's real golden seal, and it really works. And I have people that buy this for their issues because it works. So, good. I think this is my last slide. Yeah, that was an extra one. So go back to the last one. There you go. So, do you have any questions? Okay.
I was taking turmeric, but it's a liquid in a bottle, and I just try to add a drop of, turmeric tea in the morning or something. And I'm like, well, maybe this doesn't do anything. I don't know.
We don't know. Yeah. We don't know how good it is. That's right. We don't know. So I use turmeric forte from Standard Process. I like that product a lot. Another product I use, another turmeric product is from a company called Food Research. Has very, very good products. So we don't know. That's right. And I'm not saying the turmeric that you have doesn't work. I don't know if it does or not. I just know mine does.
Yeah. Well, what about like doTERRA oils? You can buy a little thing of turmeric.
I don't know. I don't know.
Those are supposed to be
It's like really potent
Strong, yeah.
And maybe it's a good product. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you could ask them, where's your certificate for the,
Oh, yeah.
for how they analyzed it, for the ingredients. You could ask them for that.
I'll email
Yeah.
him.
What?
I'll email him.
Yeah, email them and find out. I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything bad about that company because
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
products may be fine.
Yeah.
I just don't know. But I think when you go, like if you go to the health food store, for example, and you find a really, really good price on an herb,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't get it, okay? Because you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know. I mean, so if somebody is trying to sell you like a 2020 Mercedes-Benz for $5,000, either it's a very angry woman going through a divorce and it's her husband's car, or there's something really wrong with the car, So I'd be really careful with that. So it's the same way with herbs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what about tea? Like, is that just as effective as taking pills here, or would it be? Are the pills more effective?
Herbal teas.
Mm-hmm.
I would not think it would be nearly as effective as taking
The pill,
the
because you're
pills,
actually eating.
yeah, or the liquids. If you get a good quality liquid,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, liquid herbs are very powerful, and we have, if you get a good one, like we have some sleep formulas, we have a weight loss formula and liquid herbal formula, and those liquid herbs are really powerful. So, and right now I'm just experimenting with wormwood and parasites. I'm just taking it to see what happens. It's a very powerful herb. I mean, it doesn't taste good at all. So, so anyway, yeah. So if you have any other questions about herbs, you can come to my office and ask me. If you have questions about whether you need or whether an herb would be right for you, there's ways that we can test for that in the office. So good. So that's all I have. You have any other functional medicine issues, just call my office at 488-2220, and we'll be glad to set up an appointment and talk to you.
Woohoo!
Otherwise, happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Dr. Paul.